Thank you for joining me, Sister Helen. In session 3 of Dignity and the Death Penalty, we discussed the evolution of the Catholic Church's teaching on the death penalty. Tell me, in 1997, you wrote to Pope John Paul II about the death penalty. What was the impact from that letter?
Well, first, the content of the letter was I had a chance to say directly to the Pope, when I'm walking with a man to execution and he's rendered completely defenseless and he's going to be killed, where is the dignity in this death, knowing that you uphold the inviolable dignity of all life? Does the Catholic Church only uphold the inviolable dignity of innocent life? What about the guilty? That was the conversation with him. And I said, can you help our church to be pro-life, not just for innocent life, but even for the guilty? And the impact from my letter, but you have to realize I was part of a lot of dialogue going up. It always happens in community. And Pope John Paul really got it first. And in St. Louis, for the first time, he put the death penalty in with the other pro-life issues. He said no to abortion, no to euthanasia, no to physician-assisted suicide, and no to the death penalty, which is against the inviolable dignity of the human person. It was the act of killing a person when they've been rendered defenseless. The whole teaching of the church for all these years has been that the state had the right to take life to defend society. Well, when you have prisons, you have a way to defend society. And then you render a person completely defenseless and in a premeditated way kill them. How can you call that respecting the dignity of human life? Pope John Paul called attention to it first, and he said, even those among us who have done a terrible crime have a dignity that must not be taken from them. And then that is what Pope Francis upheld when he changed the Catholic Catechism after all these 1,300 years of dialogue, and said, because it is of the inviolable dignity of the human person, under no circumstances can the state ever be given the right to take human life.
Wow. In what ways has the church justified the death penalty in the past that no longer applies?
Well, you got to look at a 1,300-year history. You got to start with Augustine in the 5th century. He was the first one to talk about using violence to coerce evil people. And he said even the evil can be coerced with the sword. Thomas Aquinas, 12th century. And it was because they didn't have prisons. They didn't have a way to keep society safe. So they turned that the state then, in those circumstances, always for the safety of society, never for this pure retribution. There's some acts so terrible, only death is a just act to them. It was never that, always about defense of society. Then life changes. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is declared in 1948. Societies begin to build prisons. We have a way to keep society safe. The church grows in consciousness, moral consciousness, and conscience along with the rest of society. So we reach a point, we don't need to kill people anymore. And then recognizing the death penalty for its essence, it is imitating the worst of human behavior. It's they kill, so therefore we're going to imitate their action and kill them. And even hold that out, that if victims watch as the state kills the one who kills their loved one, it could even heal them. It's such a contradiction of the gospel of Jesus, who always held out to us. You have heard it said, an eye for an eye, but I say to you, forgive your enemies. Really big standard to follow.
How is the church's teaching on the death penalty related to the concept of the seamless garment of life?
Well, as Catholics, we believe in the dignity of all life. Unborn life, looking for a chance to be born. Everybody, womb to tomb. That's what the seamless garment means. But then when we come to some people who have done terrible things, in that letter to Pope John Paul, I said to him, when I talk to Catholics and they say they're pro-life because they're Catholic, but they draw a line of distinction and they mean innocent life, but they don't mean guilty life. But doesn't the seamless garment and upholding the dignity of all life mean not just the innocent, but the guilty? And can you help our church reach that point of conscience and morality that even those among us who have done a terrible crime also have a dignity. This is a much harder spiritual journey and conversion to make. To uphold the life of innocent people in their dignity is not hard like him, the one who killed those two teenagers, the one who killed that elderly couple. We're supposed to uphold their dignity. It doesn't mean condone what they did. We're horrified at what they did. We're outraged at what they did. But there's always more to human beings than the worst act of their life. That's the gospel. That's that deep fabric of humanity that upholds us all. And that's what's underneath the pro-life teaching of the church. It also is related to economic justice. It's also related to that the way we do our taxes, the way we do our economy, is to help everybody to be able to live a dignified life. If you're living in poverty and you can't get a job and you don't have childcare, you don't have all the things how are you going to lead a dignified life? Our economy and our taxation has to mirror our values that we say we're pro-life.
Thank you so much, Sister Helen Prejean.